I thought this would never see the light of day, but I'm here to present to you a true Jank deck. That's right. Just look at it in all of its beauty. So basically this deck started out as an experiment with some of the newer Jinteki cards from the Sansan cycle. There's Belly Grid, obviously, but there's also Crick, which I think has boosted the power level of Industrial Genomics as an ID. Crick is obviously a very good synergy with IG simply because every time they want to run archives to flip all the cards face up, they need to incur the tax of breaking a strength 6 code gate, which is pretty fabulous. So I'm gonna use this, and what this deck attempts to do is to score agendas out using Mushin no Shin, which is obviously unreliable, but hopefully you can maintain the threat of firing off a Cerebral Overwriter. If you do and bring down the runner's hand size to 2, the game suddenly becomes much easier because you can score behind 3 pieces of end run ice with Valley Grid, knowing that if they do get all the way through, they can steal the agenda, but they'll lose their entire hand size, which means they'll die the next turn, if they haven't won by agenda points yet. That's why it's so janky, also because Machine no Shin is unreliable. But we'll see how things work out. So obviously I spent my first couple of turns icing up my centrals because I'm out against Whizzard. This is arguably one of the worst, if not the worst matchup for me, simply because I run so many horizontal assets. This kind of works. The assets are kind of like Nearpad, in the sense where you just spam remotes to no end. Whizzard completely destroys that, allowing him to run every single turn because of that. Okay, so I did manage to get a priority requisition Mushin out, and he did not check it, so I can score it, and I definitely will. I'm thinking of how to maximize this, and obviously you want to install the toll booth before scoring the Prirec. So this puts me at a very early head start, much needed definitely, because clearly he's setting up for the late game with the drip economy of data folding. More importantly also because he's a Whizzard. I do draw into my pack campaigns, but I know that they'll be wiped off the board very quickly. So that is very unfortunate because I run virtually no operation economy. My only form of operation economy really is diversified portfolio, and that requires me to maintain all the remotes, which Whizzard can easily destroy once again. So yes, he completely ruins my game plans. I can only rest the pack campaigns here and hope to slow him down as much as I can. Notice that I haven't made use of IG's ability yet. I've constantly found myself with cards that I always want to install, so I'm not able to fill out archives with cards yet, which is horrible because now he's going to trash my stuff. He then plays Hacktivist Hacktivist Meeting, which is quite annoying until you realize that the card in the innermost remote is actually an agenda and encrypted portals, which I didn't really want to score because it would set me back on tempo. But now that he has played that current, I'm going to wipe out that current off the face of his board by scoring the encrypted portals. In the meantime, he just continues setting up his Breaker Suite and his money, which is looking really healthy right now. I'm very worried for the Vamp. I know it's coming, and once the Vamp hits, I'm completely screwed because I cannot fire off my traps, my Cerebral Overwriter. So that renders me useless. And yes, as if a Kuroda, a Zuki Master, and a Data Sucker is not enough, he plays the David. So now I cannot place anything behind that toll booth safely. I have to rely on mind games at this point. So now I just begin overdrawing, and I find the Crick, which is pretty cool. I'm definitely not going to toss that. What I do want to toss is the Himitsu Bako, because he has a Kuroda that can easily bite through it. So the Bako goes in the bin, and now IG's ability is finally activated. I attempt to bait him into a run in my remote with the Shikyu, but he's not falling for it, he's just going for the centrals. I should have noticed that, and played my agendas more daringly, which is a problem because I need to outspeed him. Like most runners nowadays, you have to play faster than them because there's no way I can keep up with the drip economy of 2 data foldings, a daily cast, and a symmetric research. Yeah. So right now I'm just going to install the Valley Grid and load my archives with Shikyus in case he does decide to run them. Now the good thing is that he can hammer R&D all he wants. It will actually cost him money to trash my assets because that Jackson that you just trashed, for example, cost him 5 credits, 3 of which are offset. So he's still paying a high toll for it. I'm not too worried about him locking down R&D because my agenda density is very low. I run 8 agendas, 6 of which are 3-pointers, and half of them are future perfects. So I'm not that worried about R&D lock. I'm more concerned about trying to score agendas myself, because he knows as well as I do that if I don't advance anything on the board, I can't really win. So he continues hammering my R&D. Lucky there's no medium, so I'm not worried about that yet. If the medium hits the board, I'll consider. So I find a restoring phase and cerebral overwriter. Obviously, I dump the restoring phase. It is there mostly to turn off the bad part from Grim. Grim is one of the few sentries that I can find that actually works in this deck. You don't really want to use the net damage sentries that Jinteki has because they are very ineffective. Alright, so yes, I've seen all 3 of my, or rather most of my cerebral overwriters, so I'm going to install one and try to advance it next turn to feign that it is a trap. Well, it is a trap, but in any case, yeah, now I just need to find a window to get some agendas going. I now triple advance the cerebral overwriter. Hopefully he thinks he thinks that it was an agenda masqueraded as a trap and runs it, but he's not interested in running it. Oh man, so here I place the Caprice on HQ. Caprice is never meant to go in a remote. This deck doesn't really deal with Caprice on remote shenanigans like most other Glacier decks, because the Caprices are here to protect against central digs. Alright, so he plays a Hacktivist meeting, which means it's time once again to score my inflicted portals. I really don't want to do this because I don't have many code gates res. Speaking of which, almost all my eyes are code gates if you have realized by now. It's just a couple of Himitsu Bakos and a couple of Grims to shake up the ice diversity, but everything else is a code gate, including the rainbows. So that's why I like encrypted portals in this deck. Now, I place Lotus Field on R&D because it's his one weakness. He plays Zuki Master, which means that it will always cost him 4 credits to break through Lotus Field, which, well, I need to tax him every single credit I can right now because now he has 2 daily casts and a KD Jones going as well. And I need to close out this game quickly. Even though I'm on 5 agenda points to his 0, I cannot, for the life of me, find a scoring window. He's so filthy rich right now, and he has his 3rd data folding. So I'm in a lot of trouble. Again, the Caprice on HQ is the only thing that's protecting me from sure loss because of Vamp. And I'm dirt poor right now, so I cannot go below 5 credits, otherwise I might turn off Cerebral Overwriter, which in turn means that I cannot brain him. So that's the problem with Jinteki generally. If you're relying on traps, you need to maintain a healthy credit level, and it's so hard to do when you don't have drip economy going. That's why Whizzard is so disruptive against me. And here he attempts to dig HQ, and there's really not much I can do at this point. He has 27 credits. I could rest the Caprice, but that would just drain me of credits. He'll just keep running HQ and again to deny me credits. So the only thing I can do right here, rest the Lotus Field and tax him for 4 credits every run. Or sorry, 6 credits every run. The Lotus Field is now at 6 strength thanks to my encrypted portals, which is the only silver lining right now. The Lotus Fields are doing massive work for me, but I know it's not going to last very long, knowing that he has so much economy going for him. Luckily, I escaped the fact that he has a HQ interface, my future perfect remains safe, and he still has 0 credits. Now, he did not trash too many of my assets because I had 4 face down cards in archives, so he does go to archives to check for agenda, to flip them face up instead, and I force him to pay through the crick. So that's a minor victory for me, but it drains me all the way down to 0 credits, which means firstly, I cannot activate the She Qs. Secondly, and most importantly, I lose potency with the Cerebral Overwriter. So here I couldn't do anything but to click for credits. And that's wasted time. Time which he capitalizes on by installing more interfaces and going for the deep digs. At this point, I've basically lost the game, even though I'm up 5-0. I've let him snowball for way too long, and now I'm paying the heavy price. He finds a Pyrrhec. He is halfway to winning. I need to make something happen now. So I pretend that I'm completely desperate out of options. I click for a credit and motion the Overwriter. Of course he falls for it, and I bring him down to 2 hand size. He didn't think that I have another Cerebral Overwriter because I think he just trashed one, so at least there's this minor victory. But again, it's how minor is this victory in the grand scheme of things? I'm down to 1 credit. I can't even defend my future perfect right now, so I'm just going to concede it to him. There was no point spending money there because he would just run again. And I draw my pack campaign, which is bloody useless right now. So this is really not a representative matchup. Yes, it's not representative at all. But at the end of the day, if you manage to outwit your opponent in every single mind game instance, like I managed to score the first priority requisition and he didn't contest it. I managed to mush in a cerebral overwriter and he fell for it. If all your mind games work and you still struggle to win the game, there's something fundamentally wrong with the deck. And in this case, it's the economy. Had I have, say, 20 more credits right now, I know 20 is a lot, but if I had more credits right now, this game would have been different. I would have been able to install more ice on the remote and actually try to score an agenda behind Valley Grid, but that's not the case. So he's just going to continue running R&D at this point, and what can I do? I cannot lock him out of R&D, and he generates way too money. 3 KD Jones credits per turn, 3 data foldings per turn. It's only a matter of time before he finds the last another 3-pointer in R&D for the win. Really, what can I do? I draw into both my Drims, they're pretty useless, or the expensive ice clogging up my hand. So I can only click for credits at this point, because I have no assets to generate money. Even that turtle bags isn't paying off at all. So very, very disappointing, and I guess this deck has potential against weaker decks, but this is certainly nowhere near a tier 2 deck. I do manage to defend the future perfect in R&D for a quick turn, but just look at how filthy rich he is. There's nothing I can do at this point. Alright, so I power draw to bring the future perfect to my hand, and he knows that. And I'm going to pretend that the Caprice that I installed in the remote was actually a future perfect. Hopefully can bait him into running that remote. Wasting credits, wasting David. He has no David counters, so he has to use the Zuki Master, wasting a lot of credits. But instead he goes for the safe route, which a good runner would. He just plows through R&D, trashes every single asset. He's actually down to 10 credits now, but it doesn't matter. Sooner or later, he'll find that final agenda and win the game. Yep, he won that side game right there. It's a fun idea, and I think Valley Grid has a place in today's meta. It's something that runners definitely have to be cautious of, because right now, taking even one cerebral overwriter to the face could mean game over, because a server secured by Valley Grid would be nigh impenetrable without flatlining at the very end of your turn. That being said, it needs a lot of backup to work, and I don't think the deck that I'm playing right now is there yet in terms of being able to force the runner into an undesirable position. It's just way too poor. Money is still very important. If that's one thing you take away from the video, I guess it's that. Thanks for watching. Happy net running. Goodbye.